welcome to Saranga. Today we have with us Almosow Free. Almosow is not new to social media. He has been on several shows, and what's unique about Almosow's journey is he's a former Muslim, and anybody who quits organized religion usually becomes atheist or at the most agnostic. But what's unique about Almosow is he has embraced Indian philosophy. In fact, he has taken up Indian philosophy as his academic vocation. So, welcome to the show, Almosow.
Namaste, Esraji, and thank you very much for speaking with me. Thank you.
Can you tell a little bit about your upbringing, your life as a Muslim, a practicing Muslim, and then out of it, and what inspired you to embrace Indian philosophy?
Yeah. So I'll begin with my name, as you said, Almosow Free. So it particularly points out that my previous name, Ali Muhammad. So how it changed, I picked up the abbreviation from my previous name, and those abbreviation from Ali became AL, and from Muhammad MO came, and from the surname SOW was picked up. And surname, at that point of time, I was studying philosophy when I decided to change the name. So I thought that the surname should be something which does not necessarily point out to the knower of my name any background as such, any regional classification, any religious classification in particular, because the name was typically religious name. So that's how I picked up that free surname, because I wanted that place to be free, the surname part. So we keep playing with words and language. So I thought that why not free be written in that spot? So that's how that name came. We are associated with our name so much that we just can't think outside. If we call, like, for example, I had written a paper in my college because all the students bugged me so much. Why everyone meeting me asking, what have you done, what is this? So I wrote a paper in that. I pointed out that how if we call a number 2 as 1 and number 1 as 2, we would think that they mean different quantity. So our number system will sound like 2, 1, 3, 4, like that, or 2, 1, 4, 3. So it will seem strange that no, 1 is 1. 1 means one quantity. Similarly, if somebody calls you by a different name, your identity itself, that itself can bring a great change. Because one is associated with the name so much. And when I changed my name, I didn't really think that I knew that I have to go away from this identity, because what is left behind is something I am not anymore. I am not identifying with the name. So my idea was that I have to move away from this. That's how I ended up changing my name. I was born in a middle class Muslim family. Financially, we were quite well to do, I would say, but the mentality and the town we were in, and from where my parents came, I would say I was brought up as a typically middle class person, and upbringing was, I would say, quite satisfying, in the sense that there was uh, no there was no lack of love and care and health, I would say. Everything went on quite smooth, and I studied in a convent school, uh, which is considered one of the best in the town also. So I would say that I was a good observer as a child, and very curious also. Uh, Many things, I wanted to understand many things as I grew up, and my father also had that kind of outlook, I would say. So he somewhat I grew up around books and newspapers, English in particular, and of course some Urdu, Arabic texts here and there. So the idea was to understand all the time what is happening, and from that my curiosity was I would say that it was not necessarily curbed in the beginning, though I was given taught all the practices and the importance of the practices and the consequences. Also, I could see that when practices are not done, what are the consequences that are told that may happen after death or among the community itself. And then as I reached my 12th, as we say, once we start stepping into adulthood, so the mind also itself starts becoming more advanced, as we can say, more intellectually involved, trying to judge things. In our teenage itself, we grapple with those things, with some rebellion, with this or that. But that went by, I think, quite normally. And initially, I my practice with Islam was when I was very young. I think, in my teenagers, mostly, when I went to madrasa also, and learned about by-hearted Arabic things, which we need to read in the practices, without any meaning, of course, just the benefits or the goals of these activities were known. Because as kids also, we just want things, you give me this or that, I want more chocolate, or I want this, or more toys, etc. So I think I was very young, as a very very simple, my approach was very simple at that point of time, because I don't recall any thoughts of uh, having any opposition to any kind of religious ideology. But I thought that this is something which is particularly divine, and which people feel that they should connect to, or which is something which will give them, which is not in their control. And this is some person, the god is some person. You keep asking things, whatever your problems are, you can share, and it will be all personal, nobody will know. You have your own thing, and there's a way to, as if, you dial a call and talk to someone. Similarly, you do this practice and your call will get connected, and only when you practice properly, and then only your call will get connected. Otherwise, it's difficult. So this is, of course, part of the ideology. I never used to think that way, if I say that. But I felt that that idea of God itself is something which is something very close to you, something very dear to you. So in that sense, I used to approach. But once I became an adult, started reaching my 18 years of age, 11th and 12th also we reached at that point of time, and start reading different subjects also. We can choose our subjects, whether we want to do commerce or science or arts, etc. So usually how it happens, parents either want you to become a doctor or a engineer, implying that either go in biology or you go in science, or even if you want, you can take commerce as well. So I chose science at that point of time in my 11th and 12th class, physics, chemistry, maths, not biology. So that also helped me to understand the world objectively, in a much better empirical sense. That how we can understand things, what world means, what objects are, what matter is, how to analyze it, how complicated formulas can be. Mathematics also was one of my favorite subjects at that point of time. So at that point of time, I had almost come out of my practice, because my practice was mostly when I was 13, 14, 15 years of age. And because the practice is a kind of a discipline only, a monotonous regular discipline, and that discipline itself takes you closer to God in that ideology. So that became somewhat dissatisfactory, as if there is something missing. You keep wanting something all the time. You have to, the better you discipline yourself in these particular manners, or the more you keep listening to the clergy or people who are considered socially at a higher pedestal, or somewhere higher in the hierarchy of a religious setting. So just you have to agree or accept their ideas. Uh, Even in my 11th and 12th, I was not clear what I have to do further. I think that's a very normal, usual confusion which students have, and in India also, I would say. And coming from a smaller town, you always wonder what is that I should be doing, We can romantically think that I can become a doctor or a pilot, but that is not necessarily something which can satisfy us. If we just set a goal that I want to fly, so I'll become a pilot, but what is involved in becoming a pilot is different than the experience of flying. Similarly, doctor, we may think that yeah, doctor may earn great money and there's great respect, but what the doctor does, probably, or I think most of the people may not be able to stand that. So that is not very clear, and that I think the teachers and people around us, our elders, have to guide us in the best possible manner. They may also not know because they have also struggled, etc. So uh, that guidance, that I was seeking once in my 11th and 12th. So naturally I thought, engineering is my uh, best option, and I had taken physics, chemistry, maths. And then I came outside my hometown, and there I then finally I got admitted in a commerce course, Bachelor of Commerce. And so that was like a transition before coming into philosophy, and taking up philosophy academically and as a profession also, because we actually don't know at all that we can study philosophy in India as such. I don't know whether that is true in bigger cities or not, but still I find a great lack of knowledge in students that they can pursue this career, because this career implies that you will become a teacher or a researcher. Thought I never had an idea that I could study philosophy as such. But I continued my Bachelor of Commerce, and in that Bachelor of Commerce, certain things happened. I got exposed to the idea of meditation also, and luckily I picked up. It appealed to me, that idea. So then I thought that I should. This is something My mind is naturally curious, or drawn towards. It flows as if in this direction, and I can talk much more and study much more, because I was reading books from here and there, picking up books, and what topics attracted me. So there's never a clarity that, though it's something which is inbuilt in us, we are the ones who have to find out what we like. But we keep asking others, you tell me what I should do, whether this is okay or not. Before deciding on engineering, there was a great discussion. I called all the engineers I knew, and even whom I didn't know, I took their numbers from people I knew, and I called them. Different kinds of branches who were studying. So I called and I met them, that whether I should do this engineering, that engineering. Now direction itself is somewhat not okay. If we say that if the inclination is towards philosophy, then the best engineering college also, if you go, and best branch also if you take, it doesn't matter at all. So then I thought of MBA also at that point of time, and I started preparing for getting into an MBA college. So of course, IIM, the best mango on the tree. So begin there and then see what happens. That was my idea. So I did that also for some time, but nothing was really catching my attention. But these things that I was doing, the books I was reading, and the somewhat spiritual and religious interest, because my idea of spirituality came from religion. I had no idea, like, spirituality, what it is. I didn't know at all what is religion and spirituality, really. I would say even till my uh, 18, 19, 20s, I would say. I had no understanding of what it could mean. What does this lead to? We always want something from it. No? So where is it leading? I didn't know. And we had this idea that, heaven and hell. So it's all anyways later. So focus right now here. Practices, disciplining was not interesting. Get up early morning, go 5 times, and I did many things. I was in the mosque for 2 3 years. I was very regular. I tried to practice as best as I can. I think I was rationalizing in some manner, and so I would say that gave some satisfaction, of course. Then people also encourage you, when you go and do things regularly. Maybe they want to do something better, and they know that by disciplining in this way, you will get what you want. So they encourage that, yeah, very good, you keep doing this, you should continue doing this, you are very good, etc. When you give azan, I used to give azan in the mosque, and so a lot of encouragement used to come. Some encouragement came, then I started doing some more activities. So it's a kind of social work also. Then you become more social also, naturally, when you're going constantly. So in that sense, I had some kind of recognition that provided me a kind of satisfaction. But I would say my internal conflicts, if I had some, whatever that were, as I'm asking, kind of guidance where my attention was going, that I felt that nobody really understood that. I was not able to express myself as if there. So in that period itself, I became somewhat disillusioned with the past, and I started coming in contact with different cultures. Also, started living out of home, and the mind became much more independent also, and self sufficient, as if somewhat it started thinking in that direction. And then I was more freer to express my thoughts to my friends as well. And I recall in my bachelor time, so in the second year itself, I wanted to quit my uh, uh, become that, I don't wish to continue, this is a waste of time. So what happened that I expressed my view that I'm planning to do philosophy to some people, and they did not encourage, because there is no monetary benefit, as if we don't know what kind of careers somebody can take when they are into philosophy field. So I was not encouraged totally. It was the idea was rejected, and there was a great contradiction in me. I thought that this is something I don't wish to do, and I've tried many things. Better I should just give it up even immediately in the second year itself. So there was no one, I thought, that who could really listen what I want, because I knew where I want to go, but I was not sure, and nobody was supporting, as if I knew what I have to do, but because that support was missing, and there was a discouragement also. So I used to visit a doctor at that point of time for some minor things, illness and all. Every day, doctor, family doctor type he was. So just a simple MBBS person he was. And so I went to him. I took his appointment and I went to him and I said that I have come to take advice, not medical, but life advice from you. So he was quite happy. He had also introduced me to yoga. Um, so he was a very senior person in the town I was studying, and very well known, I would say. So he advised me very well. He said, "Okay, don't leave this in the second year. You will be stuck in a limbo. Complete your bachelor's, and then probably you can choose then in the next step what to do."
So, how was your family taking all this?
I was raising some questions, but I didn't know the effect of this ideology so much. I was not so aware of what this belief system means and implies, and also how much influence it has on the others and me also, because I came from that. I grew up in that, and once that name change happened, then things which were hidden from me till that point of time, hidden in the sense I didn't know they existed. It was totally in the dark. Then those things started coming out, and even before that, when I was uh, reading books about different religions, because my idea was totally that this religion will be studied in a course in philosophy. I didn't philosophy still in the academically, we are still trying to define philosophy world over. There is no consensus among philosophers that this is philosophy. I knew that these things are there, some great things, and I knew about different characters, different deities also from Hinduism, from Islam, and of course other religions. I thought learning about this is probably philosophy. And also meditation was there in my mind, because I was meditating somewhat on and off and trying to figure out what is this, because so many people are saying different things and making you sit in one place, be quiet. I was like, what is it? What will I get from this? Because that's our idea usually. God is something which we can ask things from. He is our, maybe in Islam, of course, not your closest friend as such, but a controller. But my idea was, this is what will I get from this meditation? That's how I was pursuing it initially. That something will come out of it.
Let me ask you here, since we're talking about meditation. So, Islam does not demonize meditation like Christianity does. In
Does
fact,
not
even yoga, Ayurveda, and meditation are not demonized in Islam like they are in Christianity. Would you agree with that?
uh, I wouldn't know about Christianity, how much they demonize it, but Islam also, it's not permitted, I would say. Nobody really does meditation. And there also there are sections, because India, we find many different kinds of Muslims who follow different Islamic traditions, and many things they do which are actually not Islamic. This was also one of the factors that got me thinking initially, because I met certain people who left who left the community that I was part of and joined other Islamic community. So the reason I was told that they were dissatisfied with the practice this particular community does, which is totally un-Islamic, which I also see now are totally, if we go by the Quran, then it won't work out like that. So that got me thinking that what I am doing is also not necessarily theoretically correct, theologically accurate. So I thought then, okay, maybe there is some catch here. Differences are available, and the other person also can claim that they are much more purer than you in theological, in their following, in their discipline, and my discipline may be not necessarily what I'm thinking. I may be contacting some other reality, not that reality which want this particular type of prayers only, this particular way of worship only, but it is something which is coming from different views that I understood, at least in the beginning, and especially by seeing the social behavior also, how people are socially, they just seem very normal, regular people. In religious context they'll be different, but in their regular life they are just general people. So I thought that it's not, there's nothing special in this, though it claims to be one and only, but there is nothing as such which is so special that you can devote all your life. Though a period came 1 year, I was to be admitted in an Islamic university, but that didn't work out when I got into practice too much, and I was always ready to leave my house and go to a boarding school. So I went to some program. There's this Vipassana which is done, Art of Living Foundation, not the Sri Ravi Shankarji's foundation, but another Buddhist, Burma. There's one person, he has done this Vipassana. It's a Buddhist technique. They do 10 days, you just don't speak a word. There I found very different. They are all over the country also now, and very very quiet settings. Just they just don't interfere with anything. They just leave you alone totally, and then you can't talk at all there. 10 days no talking. That is fascinating first. So there I went, and I was so surprised that what is happening here and why these people are here. What are we looking for here? We knew that something has to be sought. There has to be some benefit has to be derived from this, but the people who are there and how they don't talk with each other, and that silence that they have when everyone is quiet, it's everything inside is just as if exposed in front of us in those 10 days, and you can only talk to one person, that is the teacher. If you necessarily have to talk, then you have to go and talk to this person, otherwise there is no need to talk, you just be quiet. So it gave me a very different insight into what religious practices or what spiritual practices could mean. Because for me, it was about myself only from the beginning, that I am looking for something. I want benefit. Even if I want something from a practice, I am the person who wants it, not necessarily the community, not necessarily this and that. That didn't attract me so much. So that gave me a very new uh, outlook, a new perspective towards seeking whatever that was I was seeking that time. There was a Japanese monk who was studying in the university. So he told me that he was studying Buddhist philosophy in the Pali department. So he told me that you should try out philosophy. First he told about Pali also. So that monk exposed me to this idea also, that I'm doing this and you can study academically, explain to me like that. Once those ideas started coming in front of me, those varied ideas, first 2 3 months. So I was just lost that what is it these people are talking about. So many complicated. Indian philosophy was also there. Western and Indian, they teach basics, and the bachelor's was not in philosophy, so exposure was none. New ideas which you have never thought, and suddenly those logical ideas, as if the brain becomes like so porous and so shapeless, that what is it this is happening, what, who am I, like we start thinking that we were thinking I like this, I like that, but world is so different. The whole perspective, as if the outlook, as if starts breaking down what the structure that was created earlier. So I just found as if something I can continue. That's what my thought was at that point of time, and that's how I got introduced to philosophy. And once in there, then this idea of name change also started appealing to me a lot because of that baggage, and new ideas were coming that we are independent because we are not necessarily where we come from. There we can start from the place we are at this moment and move forward. So I thought I should be like this. So that's was the time I changed my name also. In my masters, particularly, I did within that 2 years.
Do you contrast it with what you have left, that is Islam?
Yes, academically, I have not done as such officially, but naturally, these new ideas of Indian philosophy, these six schools of Hindu philosophies are there. The Nastika darshanas are also there: Buddhism, Jainism, Charvaks. When we come in contact with those ideas, they discuss such minute details about that philosophy and what is the real world view and spirituality as if is built in the Indian philosophical traditions. The self is never left out of the conversation. In other religions also, of course, we can see Islam, we can see that the focus is on you. You have to practice discipline yourself. But what is to come after that? What is that we seek from that practice? That was clear to me that these two things are not the same. Here there is some kind of material benefit. Of course, some ethical dimensions are added. Much of it may not necessarily belong to Islam also as such. Those ethical dimensions in general culture our parents give us. And, you should be good to everyone, be kind, not necessarily hurt anyone, don't talk loud, respect your elder. This, I think, in Indian culture, it's inbuilt. Naturally, it comes. Many of them may not be part of Islam now. If we analyze the ideology, that what all really means to be a proper Muslim, Musallam Iman, as they say, whose belief is certain and conviction is pure and sure. This idea, these differences in the idea of ultimate reality. Here I was somewhat groping in the darkness when I came to philosophy, and when I got exposed to Hindu philosophy also, or Indian philosophy also. I was not clear what is here because there are so many different things, and philosophy today particularly teach us debates only, because that's the best way to learn different what the every other school of thought is saying. So I was somewhat confused that what is this happening, and so different. Earlier there was no necessary conversation of meditation. Nobody told you that sit and focus on yourself and see what are your thoughts inside, be quiet. But there was some kind of loudness also in social gathering. Also everyone is loud, and in azan also, when we give, we are just shouting on the loudspeaker. We just try to shout as sonorously as we can, but it's a call to prayer. So this difference also I started seeing, and this contradiction of the ultimate reality. In Buddhism also, when we see, they don't believe in soul, any spirit, uh, any entity which is eternal and continuing in you, but they totally bring the focus on yourself, that you are the one that is as if continuing in a motion. A kind of wheel is moving, which has gathered some momentum, and it keeps rolling further and further and further. So that same idea, when I looked at that idea, I was somewhat taken aback that what I was thinking about ultimate reality, it could mean something else. And it could even mean that it's not there. Whatever I am only thinking, that is the thing. I am the basis of the self, is the basis.
You're also teaching Indian philosophy, right, at university level?
Yes, yes, I am teaching not at the university. Of course, the colleges I am teaching, they are affiliated to university, but I've completed my NET, national eligibility test, which is required to teach, and I've done my MPhil also in philosophy. PhD, I'm planning to, still I'm looking for topics, what to do in philosophy PhD. So I've been a visiting faculty at a few colleges, and I've been teaching now. Once I complete almost three, I think 3, 4 years I've been teaching now. So, thank you for being with us. And that was Almosow Free's personal journey out of Islam and into Indian philosophy or Sanatana Dharmic philosophy.